Hello and welcome back to another Battalion Wars modding video. This time we're back in Battalion Wars 2. I showed all the units for Battalion Wars 1 that you don't normally get to use, and people seem to like that, so I decided I'll just do the same thing in Battalion Wars 2. And I think people wanted to see more modding in this game anyway. It's probably what people are more interested in, since it's the newer game and all that. So in this video, we're going to do the Solar Empire units, and I'm also going to show the units that only show up online, mainly because they're along the way, and also because someone wanted to see the Solar Empire artillery unit, which actually does show up online, so I'm guessing they didn't know that, but since someone did ask, I'm going to show it, and since I'm showing it, I might as well show the other ones. But we're going to start with this mission for our first unit. And you can probably guess the first unit is the munitions expert, since this is the only mission that he shows up in. He's probably not worth showing because he can't do much. His only function is to arm the bombs on the missile silos. But he is a unit, so... And there he is right there. I accidentally spawned him inside the tank. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, this is him. And he can't shoot. He can't really do anything except run around. Let's have them go attack stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It might be possible for him to arm the bombs on the missile silos. Like, that's what he does in those cutscenes. But I haven't actually tried that because I haven't, like, been near a missile silo while playing as him. But it could be possible, I'm not totally sure. And then, of course, visually, the only difference between him and a regular grunt is he's carrying a bomb thing. He has a bomb thing on his back, and he has this glow around him, which isn't really part of the unit. It's just a thing that they set to appear around the munitions expert in this mission, since he's like an objective type thing. So anyway, yeah, that's about it for him. Not too interesting, but I'm going to try my best to show all the units. I might miss some. I won't miss any of the actual, like, units, but I might miss, like, some of the tower things. But I don't think I did. I think I have them all in one mission or another. And we'll skip the cutscene. So, of course, most of the Solar Empire units that I'm going to show will come from the Anglo Isles campaign, because that's where most of the units that you don't get to use show up. And in this mission, the first mission of the Anglo Isles, you actually, well, there's no units that you don't get to use, but there are 3 units that only show up online. So that is the heavy tank, the Anterior Veteran, and the artillery unit. And this is the heavy tank. The heavy tank feels a lot different from the Solar Empire heavy tank in the first game. As far as I can tell, they really buffed it, which is good, because in the first game I felt like it was just kind of crappy. Like, it had the worst maneuverability. Its shots seemed to be the slowest of all the heavy tanks. It just seemed to be the weakest out of all of them. But in this game, it's pretty decent. And I will use it against the Anglo Isles troops over here, and hopefully not die. I should also note that while normally, you probably noticed when you're playing missions in single player, the unit you play as has a stat buff applied to it, as well as all the units under your command have a lesser stat buff. So the way that works is, I may have mentioned it in one of my Battalion Wars 1 videos, but that stat buff still applies to whatever army you're playing as and whatever unit you're playing as. So it's not like the Anglo Isles have a stat buff. Since I'm playing as the Solar Empire now, they're the ones with the stat buff. And that was the heavy tank. And this is the Anterior Veteran. The only reason I mention that is because for people who didn't know that, they might be surprised by how easy it was to destroy those light tanks, whereas when you play as the Anglo Isles, you'll notice they can take more hits than that, so that's the reason why. And the Anterior Veteran, as I said, he also shows up in online missions. And there's not really too much to talk about for him either. He looks cool though. In general, I like the Solar Empire units. They look pretty cool. Oh, and the reason I didn't use one of the artillery units that's over there on that hill is because those are only for that one cutscene where the Anglo Isles battleship shows up and destroys them. So no one's actually driving them. They're just empty and you can't use them. Like, I can't control transfer or have them follow me. But there's one over here that I can use. So the artillery unit, it only shows up in one online mission. And it's a skirmish mission. I forget what the name is. But it's one with the Iron Legion versus Solar Empire. And the thing I noticed about it that is most odd is how loud it is. Like, you can probably hear that. It's just like... And the funny thing is, the first time I used that, or used this unit in this mission, well, the first time I used it, I was just kind of like trying it out. And I actually thought there was like a car outside my house, because I play this on Dolphin emulator, as I said before. So I use headphones, and it sounded so loud. I just thought there was like a car outside driving by, and then I realized, wait, no. The artillery unit just is making that noise, and it's especially surprising because it's the Solar Empire, and you would expect them to have like a quieter unit because their stuff is like all solar powered. So I don't know, it's just kind of an odd thing for it to be that loud. But anyway, this is it. It's pretty cool. And that is all the units in this mission. I could show the sea fort. Well, not the sea fort, because the sea fort's a structure. But the towers on the sea fort. But that's probably a waste of time, because all of those towers are just towers that show up in the game already. Like anti-air towers, RPG towers, stuff like that. So, not really worth it. And next, we're going to move on to Up Periscope. This is one of my favorite missions probably in the game. And I'm really glad that they kind of made an online variant of it. Obviously, it's not the same mission, but they use the same map pretty much, just at nighttime, and they use just one part of the map. But this would definitely be a cool one to use to make into an online mission, actually. So, we're going to be showing the submarines. And this is the only mission in the game that the Solar Empire submarines show up in. And we have to go through this little tutorial thing. And they function just like the Anglo submarines in terms of diving and shooting and whatnot. And yeah, the submarines that go into follow mode will still follow you if you go underwater. So they function exactly as you would expect them to. Oh, what's going on over there? Why is there a submarine there? What the heck? That's weird. I mean, I edited this mission to like add more Anglo Isles units in certain areas, but I don't remember putting a submarine there. That's just strange. Alright, let's actually pull back here. I don't want to interfere with what's going on right now. Mainly because if I interfere too much, it could mess up the flow of the mission. And by that I mean I don't want to destroy the frigates, because that'll result in the Anglo Isles failing the mission. and I want to make it to the next part of the mission. Alright. But I will take out those submarines so that they respawn at the docks. Oh, whoa, I didn't even realize my health's being drained by the lack of oxygen. Alright, there we go. Gonna try not to get destroyed. Good. And now let's get out of here and go to Mercy Chester Docks. I'm gonna try to actually finish this mission in this video, because usually people request that I actually play through missions, so I might as well include that. Alright, let's destroy this battleship. And as you can see, the naval transports are in move mode. So that shows that move mode still exists in this game, even though it's not a command that the commander can use anymore. It still is around, surprisingly. Which means there might be hope to restore it, because if it exists, it might be possible to actually set it up so that you can use it again. But that's still kind of unlikely. Alright, let's see, did my battleship destroy the frigates? Yes, it did. Okay. And we have a ton of gunships, most of which will probably get shot down, and that's fine. Oops. Well, that was the last of my subs. Oh well. No! I can't do anything about that frigate. I could make this mission go on longer if I wanted to by just letting them defend it, but I'll try to finish it here. Or maybe not. Is that battleship gonna... It's gonna do work, isn't it? But I want to see if it's actually gonna defend it. Yeah, it is. Well then, I guess I'm gonna play this mission for a bit longer after all. Oh, wow. Yeah, the battleship usually does a pretty good job of defending, even though there's no commander to put it in defend mode. It still defends the flag pretty well. On the bright side, I get more submarines now.
My submarines will protect the next.
Okay.
When you target and fire upon a submarine,
Let's go use these.
Charge instead of its usual AA missile.
Okay. Now, during this wave, I'm actually going to try to capture the docks. Let's see if I can. Although, honestly, this is actually a harder wave to succeed on because I only have 3 submarines instead of like a bunch of gunships and battleships, so I might actually not be able to pull it off until the next wave. And if you notice that little graphical glitch, like where my follow mode icon is up there in the sky, I don't know what causes that. In certain missions, it's probably an emulator problem, but in certain missions, only specific units will have that glitch. So for some reason in this mission, with the submarines, it shows that like icon, and I don't know how to deal with it right now, but it's not really a big deal, so I just ignore it. Alright, let's try to do this. Oh, get that frigate away from me. No, no! Ah! They actually have, I'm pretty sure Angle Isles usually only has 2 submarines. But I added 1, so they have 3. Or they did until we destroyed them. Oh, there's another one. Okay, yeah. I'm probably not going to get it until the next wave. Oh, no. Actually, I'm probably going to get it now because I destroyed the battleship.
The enemy has
Yep.
captured Mersey-Chester docks. Mission failed.
Well, that's fine. I mean, I didn't really need the mission to go on for any longer than that, because this video is already going to be pretty long as it is. Okay, so next, Operation Reprimand. And I'm sure everyone can guess what unit I'll be showing in this mission. It's a pretty awesome one. But I'm also going to show some stupid tower thing that's kind of dumb. But this is the only mission it shows up in.
Pay attention, Commander. Intelligence suggests...
Okay, so we start off in a recon. And the first thing I want to talk about is... This is something I was going to mention earlier, but I forgot to. In Battalion Wars 2, they changed... Well, they changed a lot of things. But one thing that they changed is how enemy units spawn into the map. So, you probably noticed, like, there's a bunch of units in this mission. But it kind of seems strange that I don't have as many as you might expect under my command. The reason for that is, unlike Battalion Wars 1, where all the units spawn in from the beginning, in Battalion Wars 2, they made it so a lot of units will spawn in as you get near them, or as the player army units get within range of them. So, for example, right here, when I destroy this barbed wire, you'll see a bunch of units just spawn in. See, a whole bunch of units just showed up because an Anglo unit got within range of them. Whereas in Battalion Wars 1, all these units would have just been here from the beginning. The good news is there's ways to alter the XML file so that they will show up from the beginning, but it doesn't always work, and we're still trying to figure out other ways to make them spawn from the beginning. And probably the best way to make sure that there's units that show up from the beginning is to just add more, because that's a thing that we've learned how to do now. So this is the RPG tower, which is the tower thing I was talking about. The close-up camera is all glitched because it's inside the building, but if you zoom out you can kind of see what you're doing. And its shots are silent, which is weird. It doesn't make any noise when it shoots. But yeah, it only shows up in this mission. I'm pretty sure it's actually an Anglo tower, but it's just, it was supposed to like have been stolen by the Solar Empire, judging by how it looks. So that aside, we'll move on to the more interesting part of this mission, which is the Dreadnought. And this is the only Dreadnought, the only Solar Empire Dreadnought in the game, because this is where it was introduced, and this is also where it was destroyed. When you beat the mission, that is. And it's really cool. It would be, well, it would be ideal to learn how to add different units to missions that they don't show up in normally, which is like the next thing I want to try to figure out, so that I could actually put this unit in maybe an online mission or something, because that would be pretty neat. And there's no Anglo units around here to destroy. I could have added some like ground units or something, but I didn't. I can destroy those though, so that's pretty cool. I did put a bomber over here though. The first time I used this Dreadnought, it was actually a much bigger pain than it is now, because that was before I had figured out how to add units to missions. So before, I had to like do a bunch of stupid stuff while playing as the Solar Empire to try to get to the end of the mission where the Dreadnought shows up in. But now that I know how to add units, it makes everything easier, because I can just put one there from the beginning without having to get to the end of the mission and trigger a bunch of like things happening. we're going to try to destroy this bomber with our dreadnought, which normally is not a very good strategic move because bombers have a pretty good advantage over naval units except for frigates. But we have a lot of anti-air cannons, and I might be able to hit it with my main guns, so we'll see what happens. Although, there's no way I was going to hit it right there. That was a terrible shot. I also find it funny how it actually fits under this bridge. Like, it just barely fits under there. Dang it, it's flying too high. I have hit it before. When I was trying this mission out, I managed to land a couple shots on it. But you can't just lock on and expect it to hit it. If you're trying to hit... Oh, I almost got it with that third shot. If you're trying to hit an air unit with your battleship or dreadnought, you really have to just try to fire in front of it. Because the lock-on is very unreliable for that. There are some things it's good for, though. But especially online, the lock-on mechanic is pretty easy to avoid if players know how to avoid it. Because you pretty much just have to time it and like move out of the way just before they fire so their shot goes way in front of you. Oh yeah, I hit it. It didn't quite destroy it, but I did hit it. I could probably just let my anti-air cannons finish it off. It's too high up right now. And down it goes. The anti-air cannons are a nice touch to battleships and dreadnoughts. I mean, obviously they're not enough to, you know, make it a viable option for PvP. Like, there's no way, if you're going up against another player, that you would be able to destroy them with your anti-air cannon. But versus CPUs, it can work out okay. And now let's go destroy Windsor's column. Also, I want to mention something. The heavy tank shot that you have, which, is it going to do it? Yeah, right there. I always thought that was just an automatic thing, but it's actually something that happens when you pull the trigger. Like right there, I just shot, and then it shot. So I'm not sure if that's something that's only for the Solar Empire Dreadnought, or if that's on all Dreadnoughts and I just never noticed it. Mission complete. Kaboom. I thought it would be nice to destroy Windsor's column to finish that mission. Get a nice little defeat screen.